When you react to a crime, it's because you're too late. And police often react to crimes. But if you can prevent something from happening, there is where you can measure your success. And this is what we want as a society. We're getting tougher on crime, and 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out, and we're going to fill our prisons, and we're going to build more prisons, and we're going to put more police on every corner of the street, and now you're going to be safe. Are you really safe? It's a false sense of security, in my opinion. Let's take that money and let's invest it in prevention.
It's easy when you have family and stuff. You can always go to your family or call your family. They're always there. But when you don't have anybody, you don't have that connection. You don't have that I wouldn't call it enjoyment. I don't know. I know I don't want to go back to prison. But part of me feels better off in prison. When you're in a prison, you forget how to live. The basic things of life. Took me a long time. The longest time I couldn't get on a bus or a train or go where there was a crowd of people. I just couldn't do it. And when they release you and just send you on your way like that, it's almost impossible. It's hard to explain. It's like you need someone to walk you through it again. But no one's there.
Well, everything's growing in around here. Big time. Unbelievable how things change in 6-7 years. It's actually a very quiet town. It's not very much goes on. Get a few hellraisers who like to get out on their dirt bikes and race around and drink beer and have campfires. So, I was one of the hellraisers, so it's really nice. It's very peaceful. Kind of wish I could go back there.
When I look at the people I've hurt, the circle of hurt just grew and grew and grew. It grew from within the community, within my family, within my friends, within my associates. It just grew. I don't hear from my 2 daughters until they feel ready. My friends that I had, they just don't know how to cope with the fact that I've been in prison, now I'm out, and they don't know how to deal with it, so that it's easier not to call me.
I can't believe people trust me, because that's never been, my own parents didn't trust me growing up, because I used to steal, and I used to, because I drank when I was young, and I did drugs, and, so this is real new for me. This is stuff that hasn't happened to me in the past, so. I've done 3 federal sentences, and I've always hurt people or taken from people or done things that was against society, and now all of a sudden I'm doing, well, not all of a sudden, it's taken a lot of work, but I've gotten to a point where I want to give back, and it's a good feeling. I like what's happening right now, so.
Now you leave your friends in jail, right? Your friends that you've created within the prison system. You leave them and you find yourself alone again. What's the first thing you want? Is you want to create your circle of friends. But if you're given the right circle of friends, right, who are looking out for your best interest, then you know that this is the family you want. And so this is why it works. That's why they stick with them, It's very sad when somebody comes out and they haven't got friends and they call back the prison or they call the police to try to get help. That I find very sad, because what the person is actually telling me is, I want help, I want a family, I want somebody to help me out. And they've got to turn to the prison or the police. This is sad. What the person wants is help. So when the circles come in and they actually give them that circle, I think there should be a circle for every person that comes out of jail.
I could never imagine myself sitting with a bunch of prisoners. That was a lesson for me. I was surprised at myself being interested in something like circles of support and accountability, and working with somebody that had committed such a grave offense, an almost unforgiving offense against a young person. I worked through that as this man being a child of God, a human being, a man that has been abused. I don't like to use that as an excuse, because you're abused, you should abuse. But a man that was willing to move forward and become who he should be.
When I was first asked to be part of circles of support and accountability, I was terrified, because I didn't know very much, if anything, about the nature of the offenses that some of these guys had committed. And of course, I think people in society generally have a pretty grim picture of these guys. And indeed, some of the crimes are pretty horrific. The horror of the crime never completely disappears. The horror of the crime, and I'm speaking generally, of course, is something that's always sort of, speaking personally, was in the back of my mind. I guess having kids of your own, I guess you can't help but think, God, what if that was my kid, that they did that to, and you can't help but feel angry, pathologically almost, viscerally angry. If I sit back and think about it, then yeah, it's pretty terrible. I don't know what I'd do. I don't know what I'd do.
Since when is it, a child that's supposed to say no to an adult, The children don't know that, don't know when to say no. It's not their job. So it should have been your job. It's hard to describe. It's something that I was carrying everywhere with me, And that I see that in some offenders, that's what I'm talking about. I think it's pain. I don't think that people are bad. I think that pain that I had, if I would have been a different person, I could have turned around and harmed somebody also because I wanted to feel lighter. That's how I see crime. That's how I see. I just think walking around with that load of like, it's like so heavy. Where are you gonna drop it? Where are you gonna, you know? If you don't drop it in the circles of support and accountability, where are you gonna drop it? You're most likely gonna drop it on someone or somewhere, you know, where it could create more damage and more pain.
Nous savons le risque qu'il y a aussi, parce qu'il y a un risque de récidive. On le sait comment les récidives sont fortes. Mais la formule, l'outil du cercle de soutien nous démontre que nous assurons la sécurité. Le groupe va s'engager que lorsqu'il y a une difficulté qui s'amorce, qui débute dans la tête un peu, là, une idée, et souvent c'est pas l'idée de commettre un acte sexuel, ça va être peut-être justement de se sentir tellement pas bon, de porter la lourdeur d'être humilié, puis de ne pas s'aimer, mais tu n'as personne pour en parler, tu n'as personne pour le dire. Mais avec le cercle, l'engagement, c'est quand... Parce que pour toi, si c'est ça le déclencheur, tu appelles. Tu appelles Peter, tu appelles Mary. Et ils sont là. Ils vont te dire, d'accord, je t'écoute. Puis si on peut, allons prendre un café.
Now, okay, we're at a point where we get... I don't know, I think we're getting more afraid of sex offense than we used to be, even though there doesn't seem to have more of them. But we've got that picture of sex offenders as being that type of guy, that type of guys that we see in movies. Okay, and that they're everywhere lurking. Just locking them up is just, no, it's not just, but it's partly like shoveling our problem in front of us. And we'll have to deal with that issue when they come out of it.
People have, and people in general, have a perspective, a false perspective of people who are ill, who have mental health issues, who are criminals. And so what they do is and a lot of times by the media who feed into this perspective is that you are ill, you are a danger, you cannot be cured, and so we put you away and we don't want to see you anymore. What I've learned is that a lot of times the person or the offender knows there's something wrong, wants help, wants to do better, and actually we see in the beginning a struggle within themselves.
Mais lorsqu'il va arriver à l'extérieur, comment il va faire pour continuer de profiter de ce qu'il a saisi, alors que émotionnellement, souvent, ça va être tellement fort que ce qu'il a saisi intellectuellement va avoir de la difficulté à faire taire l'émotion forte des premières semaines, des premiers mois de sortie. Donc, le cercle est le lieu où on peut facilement, naturellement, une force naturelle, comme je disais, d'établir l'équilibre et d'être avec des vis-à-vis adultes qui me reçoivent, non pas comme le délinquant sexuel, mais comme un homme, un citoyen. Parce que lorsque une personne qui est incarcérée se retrouve dans la communauté, elle redevient de façon pleine et entière citoyenne. Mais le cercle, c'est comme une micro-société qui lui dit « Viens, tu es des nôtres et tu n'es pas seul ».
When we actually sat with these guys and learned about their daily struggles and you know what they're going through, then I don't think as a human you can help but feel compassion and feel solidarity. Is that too hard a word? I guess I became on their side and wanted to see them succeed.
Well, my motivation in getting a support group was because I wanted to make sure I would never put any other person through what I put a couple people through. I just wouldn't be able to live with myself if I ever did it again. And I know alone I wouldn't have enough strength to be able to make sure it never happened again. Looks like it won't be long for the raspberries. They're all flowering. I felt in the institution there was no support. Well, there was support once a week for 2 hours when I would go visit with the chaplain. But other than that, correctional services and their team, no, I didn't feel much support from them. With my support group, there's been times where I've been on the edge of giving up, and I asked a member to go play pool to relax, and there was no problems. That night we went out, we played pool, we had some laughs, got life back into perspective. There's been other occasions with other members, similar situations where I've actually went past the point and did give up, who I'd asked just to meet to have a supper, and with that supper and some talking we were able to get everything back into the right frame so I could keep moving on, keep working on myself to make life easier to live. Well, if I was able to speak to him, I would like to apologize and try to prove I could be decent. But overall, I rather not say anything and just sit there and listen to what they have to say. It's actually one of my greatest weapons on not reoffending, because it's one of the most difficult things to live with. The knowledge of what you've done to another human, and so for me, I use it as one of the greatest aids along with my circle to keep from it ever happening again.